Yo, what's up, everyone? This is Gerge Brooms, and welcome to From the Top Rope. This is episode number 2, my first proper episode with talking about the week in wrestling. My last episode was previewing Hell in a Cell, and we're going to talk a hell of a lot about Hell in a Cell here shortly. I just want to welcome y'all From the Top Rope, episode number 2, where I shoot the shit about professional wrestling and mark out about the things I love and talk shit about the things I hate. If you guys are looking to follow me on social media, you guys can find me on Instagram at I Hate Gerge Brooms. That's I Hate Gerge, B as in boy, ROOMS. I Hate Gerge Brooms. So before we kick into the show, let's go take a second to talk about our sponsors. One of our sponsors, we've got Bath AF. That is Bath AF. And yes, it stands for exactly what you're thinking of. Bath AF, bath bombs for everyone. The new items on the shop, if you guys go and look on Etsy at Bath AF, you can just search Bath AF, one word. On Etsy, you will find pumpkin spice bath bombs. Let me tell y'all some shit. Pumpkin spice bath bombs are where it's at. We also have peppermint bath bombs, and we also just added to the store little Pokemon bath bombs. So when the bath bomb dissolves, a little toy pops out. Perfect for kids or that super cool adult in your life. We're also sponsored by Twin Hippo Designs. Twin Hippo Designs. I lost their piece of paper. There it is. Twin Hippo Designs. They are on Instagram at Twin Hippo Designs. They are simple designs for lovers of simple things. Really cute stationery and sticker gifts. Please check out both Twin Hippo Designs on Instagram and Bath AF at I Love Bath AF. Let me get my words together. It's a Sunday morning. I'm recording this with my coffee, and it's early daylight savings time. Was up late last night with Halloween, and I love being here talking wrestling with you guys. Once again, that was Bath AF. You can find them on Instagram at at I Love Bath AF, and then we also have Twin Hippo Designs at Twin Hippo Designs. Both are on Instagram. Both are on Etsy. Now, if you want to shout out at all on this show, you can go ahead and hit me up on a DM. Slide into my DMs on Instagram at I Hate Gerge Brooms, and we'll go for it. So first off, let's talk about what happened last weekend. So 2 pay-per-views last weekend: Bound for Glory and Hell in a Cell. Impact's Bound for Glory, and I'm not really into Impact at all. I haven't been. I didn't watch TNA. I didn't watch any of that, but I heard through the grapevine that Impact was doing some pretty cool things. So I did check out the Impact Go Home show for Bound for Glory, and I did watch Bound for Glory. And other than the environment of they don't have any fans and they have like the pumped in audio, which is fine. I don't mind the pumped in crowd noise at all. It's definitely a different show because the other companies have kind of moved on to adding people or adding some type of virtual fan environment or just adding the wrestlers as fans, or even like AEW has, where they have 10% capacity in their outdoor arena. Bound for Glory, nobody there with a little bit of pumped in crowd noise, I think. Just a little bit. But I was impressed. I enjoyed the hell out of the show. I didn't get to catch the Impact post Bound for Glory, but I did enjoy Bound for Glory. I just want to run down it real quick. And if I mispronounce these people, that's because I've never watched this show, so I have no idea who these people are. The first opening match was God, I'm gonna butcher this. Rohit Raju. Oh man, I'm pretty sure people are upset with me right now. Defeated Chris Bay, Jordan Grace, TJP, Trey, and Willie Mack. That was the like that wild. I think that was the X Division Championship, which, like I said, I don't watch Impact at all. So that was a fun match. But what I really enjoyed was the Call Your Shot elimination, which I think had 20 something people in it. I can't remember exactly. Rhino defeated that, or Rhino won by defeating Sami Callihan at the end. But the way the match worked out was, it was like a Royal Rumble style battle royal. Every like, I can't remember what it was, 60, 90 seconds, somebody new came in, and then once all competitors had come out, and then the battle royal went on as people were coming out, And then when it got down to the last two, they went to a singles match. And then the winner of the singles match gets a shot anytime, any place at the Impact World Championship, or I think any championship. Um, I like the concept of it. I enjoyed watching it. Obviously, I don't know who any of these people are. I know Cowboy James Storm came out, and I know him from watching NWA Power, and I know he used to be big in TNA back in the day. Um, but like I said, it was fun for me to watch. It was a cool concept. Congrats to Rhino on defeating Sami Callihan at the end. I really enjoyed the Moose versus EC3 match. Moose, it was definitely like a cinematic match. It was held in an undisclosed area or some shit like that. And this whole EC3 character that he's created over in Impact um, is kind of what drew me to even check out Impact. And it was hard hitting, it was stiff, and they beat the shit out of each other. And like I said, Moose went on the win, but I don't think EC3's uh, far from over with this character he's trying to build over there. And of course, I was a big fan of wrestling during the Monday Night Wars during the Attitude Era. So I definitely remember Ken Shamrock, and he got inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame this week. Now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I have no idea what the hell Ken Shamrock was doing in wrestling at all until I heard that he was over in Impact doing stuff. And I was like, isn't Ken Shamrock dead? And I say that with peace and love because that dude is old as hell. And he is over there in an amazing shape. And he's over there kicking the shit out of everyone. Obviously, you can tell he's older. And he's been getting some help from whoever he's competing against. But yeah, Ken Shamrock defeating, who did he defeat? I don't know any of these people. Defeated Eddie Edwards. Uh, and like I say, he was inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame this weekend. Actually got a shout out from The Rock too, which is pretty crazy. The Rock gave him a shout out and kind of inducted him, I think, into the Impact Hall of Fame. And then the next one, we had the next match was a four-way tag team match for the tag team championships. Um, the North defeated the Motor City Machine Guns, the Good Brothers, and Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. All right, I don't know who any of those people were except for the Good Brothers. I remember them from WWE. But that was a decent match. That was fun. Uh, Next, Su Young defeated Diana Perrazzo. Now, I'm a big fan of Diana Perrazzo. I remember her in NXT, and I thought it was cool that she had, when she was released from NXT, she had gone over to be an Impact and actually won the Knockout Championship. And this match was supposed to be with somebody else, and I know I'm stupid for not knowing her name, but I guess she got injured at some point, and Su Young had to step in. Su Young defeated Diana Perrazzo, taking her Knockouts Championship, and that's it. I mean, that was crazy. That was a pretty good match. She's scary as shit, and we move on. Finally, Rich Swann defeated Eric Young. Eric Young was the Impact champion, and Rich Swann is now your new Impact champion. I'm going to get more into Impact as this goes, and probably have some more things to say about it. But I enjoyed the hell out of Bound for Glory, and I look forward to checking out more what they got. Even though I did miss this week's Impact, there's too much going on, too much wrestling to watch. Didn't have enough time, but I'm gonna do my best to stay on top of Impact. Oh man, so Hell in a Cell. So I did my preview for Hell in a Cell last week, and I'll kind of run down the matches and kind of see what I got right and what I got wrong on my predictions. Uh, but R-Truth versus Drew Gulak for the 24/7 championship in the pre-show. I'm over this 24/7 championship. I mean, R-Truth is fine. He's doing a good job with it, but other than that, why are we having matches for the 24/7 championship? I don't get that at all. But whatever. It was on the pre-show. R-Truth won. Whatever. I think he's like 400 times 24/7 championship. It's fine. But the match that opened the show, which I thought was surprising, was the Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman versus Jey Uso match. And I predicted that Roman Reigns would win, and he did win. But damn, what a great match! What a long match too. I think it went like half an hour. Um, but I mean, Roman Reigns was dominant. It's super cool about giving Jey Uso some offense and letting him get in there and try some stuff out. But we all knew where this was going. Jey Uso was going to get his ass kicked by Roman Reigns. And the whole dramatics at the end with the making him say "I quit" and he's going to hurt his brother. His brother came in and all that stuff like that, and then him begging him to stop the match. Um, I mean, I'm pretty sure at some point Jey Uso was crying like a little baby, but it's fine. It was great. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. Great way to open the match. I wouldn't have picked that, but damn it, they killed it. They killed it. Um, the next match, Elias versus Jeff Hardy. Nothing much to say here. I did pick Elias to win, and I did say if he didn't win or whatever, there'd be some shenanigans. He defeated Jeff Hardy by disqualification because Jeff Hardy hit him with a guitar. Dumb, dumb match. And then next, which I didn't realize, I didn't think that they were going to do 2 regular matches back to back with so many Hell in a Cell matches, but The Miz versus Otis for the contract. Now, I think I was paying attention to this match way more than any other match because I knew there's some legit stakes here, and I had predicted that Otis was going to win, but I definitely could see them going either way with this. And of course, they went the other way. The Miz defeated Otis with assistance from Tucker betraying Otis and hitting him with the Money in the Bank briefcase. And now Miz is now the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, which completely blew my theory out for the rest of the night. But I hated it when it happened. I was upset. And shout out to my boys up at WrestleBuzz because I definitely told them that the Miz was going to lose and Otis was going to cash in his Money in the Bank the same night. We had a beer bet on it, and I lost that beer bet. But like I said, I was upset with it at the beginning, but I've been thinking about it, and the Miz is the better briefcase holder. I was just really hoping something cool like that would happen for Otis. He's definitely not one of those guys based off of just the way he looks and the acts that's going to ever win the WWE Championship. So maybe this would have been a fun way for him to win it. But the Miz definitely has a little bit more, or puts a little bit more prestige back on that briefcase. And of course, my match of the night, Sasha Banks versus Bailey. The they beat the shit out of each other for a long time. At the end of it, Bailey taps out, and Sasha Banks becomes the new SmackDown Women's champion. And match of the night, hands down, match of the night. That was awesome to watch. Damn, I wish there was a crowd there to kind of lose their mind with it, but they put on a hell of a show. All right, next was Bobby Lashley versus Slapjack. I absolutely hate Retribution. They're dorks, and what they're doing is dorky, and it's corny. The dude's name is Slapjack. I don't even like saying it anymore, so I won't say it anymore. But Bobby Lashley ended up defeating said person by submission, and the burial of Retribution continues more. There's no way that I'm supposed to take this team as a serious threat to anybody. They're trash. I was really hoping with the addition of Ali they'd be better, but they're not. That's all I'm going to say about that. And then finally, the Randy Orton defeated Drew McIntyre, who, I mean, I called that, but I definitely thought they were going to do another title change with a Money in the Bank cash-in, and no. They had a 30-minute boring match, and they got on top of the cell for no reason, and walked around for a little bit, came back down, fell off, whatever. It was fine. Randy Orton being champion, that's fine. Like I said, I think they're going to try to get it back on Drew with crowds and give him that cool WrestleMania moment he never got. But other than that, Hell in a Cell, I actually enjoyed the hell out of it, pun intended. That Sasha Banks match was awesome. Roman Reigns was awesome. Even the Miz Otis stuff was awesome. So, yeah, Hell in a Cell was definitely a good pay-per-view. Good bang for the buck on that one. All right, so we're going to go into Monday Night Raw. I'm just going to run down what I thought about Monday Night Raw. Here's also the deal, too. I don't have time to sit down and watch 3 hours of Raw. I don't. I've got a busy life, so typically I just catch the highlights and on YouTube. And I go back and I watch some of the bits that I thought would be worthy of me watching. But Monday Night Raw is definitely, out of all the shows I have to watch, or I like to watch all week or whatever, Monday Night Raw is definitely at the bottom. It's usually a trash show, which is why it's really hard to put in the investment of sitting there watching it for 3 hours. Um, but the big thing that really came out is The Miz versus Drew McIntyre. I loved watching him headbutt the shit out of The Miz and Morrison. That those headbutts looked vicious and they looked hilarious. And I think Morrison tried to put on a Scottish accent to convince him that they were buddies or whatever. But later on in the night, The Miz Drew McIntyre. Of course, Drew McIntyre beat the shit out of The Miz. That was great. That was a great little match. AJ Styles qualified for the Survivor Series team by defeating Jeff Hardy. I don't know what the hell they're doing with Jeff Hardy. They were pushing him, then they weren't pushing him. Lose to Sheamus. They moved him over to the Raw, and now he's losing to AJ Styles and not even qualifying for the Survivor Series team. I mean, cool. I want AJ Styles on that team, but I definitely thought they were going to do more stuff with Jeff Hardy. Firefly Funhouse was awesome this week. Obviously, running with the Halloween theme and the addition of Alexa Bliss into this whole universe, if you will, has been phenomenal, and I absolutely love it. They had Keith Lee. Keith Lee defeated Elias, which is fine. Even though I don't know what they're doing with Elias either. Jeff Hardy's for some reason Jeff Hardy babyface drops his music to distract Elias, which gives Keith Lee the win. And why does Keith Lee need assistance to win? I thought Keith Lee came from being NXT champion to being on Raw and with a damn tank top on and just dorking it up. I could probably hold a whole nother podcast about how bad WWE botches these NXT call-ups, but they could definitely do a lot better with Keith Lee. But like I said, he's on the Survivor Series team, so I'm good with that. Retribution sucks. They got jacked up by the Hurt Business, which is awesome. The Hurt Business is, I feel like the Hurt Business is something that developed organically and feels organic, and the Retribution feels shoved down our throats and is lame with those masks and those stupid names. But then they're not even trying to sell me on them. They keep losing, and I think they lost by disqualification this week. But whatever. Retribution, they're trash, and I prefer I prefer if they just go away. Um, Interesting match was Sheamus and Matt Riddle. Um, Sheamus defeated Matt Riddle in a really good match. Actually, I enjoyed the hell watching it. And Sheamus is now on the Survivor Series team for Raw. The them doing whatever they're doing with Matt Riddle too. I definitely assumed that Matt Riddle was going to get a big push, but like again, it's an NXT call up who wasn't handled properly. But we'll talk more about him a little later. And then the show ended with a moment of bliss. Randy Orton and Drew comes out and there's a brawl. I think there has something to do with the eyeball or something like that. It's whatever. All it's telling me is that we're going to get another Drew versus Orton match. Not a Survivor Series, which we'll talk about the Survivor Series matches in a second, but probably TLC or the Rumble or something like that. But it's another. This will be the fourth one this year if we can get another match, and that's a lot of Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. But we'll see how it goes. During the match or during the show, though, they announced several Survivor Series matches. Of course, brand warfare kicks in, and for some reason, Raw and SmackDown are angry at each other. But I do like the way they're trying to title this one, where they're referring to it as the best of the best, and I think that's actually a good way to brand it as the best of the best. Like that's what we're doing here. We're putting our best against your best and seeing who's the best instead of like legit like blue t-shirts versus red t-shirts because that shit is silly. But the matches that were announced were Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton, obviously Universal Champion versus WWE Champion. The New Day versus the Street Profits for the two tag team champions. Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn for the USA. It's going to be USA Champion versus Intercontinental Champion. And of course, Asuka versus Sasha Banks for the two women's champions. We've seen Asuka versus Sasha. Ugh, their names sound too damn similar. Asuka versus Sasha Banks. I think earlier in the year, maybe at the Rumble. I can't remember. So that match should be good. But Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. I want to see Roman Reigns beat the shit out of Randy Orton. This Tribal Chief character needs to continue on a winning streak. And I'm hoping that Roman Reigns has some type of say and some type of deliberate, like, no, dude, y'all are not going to do this to me. This is exactly how we're going to do it. I think the only way to keep that character as awesome as it is and just have him and continue being dominant, to include being dominant on Randy Orton. Hell, Keith Lee beat him in 6 minutes, I think it was, clean too. If he can do that, Roman Reigns can definitely do that. Like I said earlier, Tuesday Night's Impact, I didn't watch it this week, just a lot going on. But what I did watch was the Undertaker versus Randy Orton Untold show on the WWE Network. And I love watching those Untold whenever they put them out, those Untold shows. There's a lot of good ones out there on the WWE Network if you haven't checked them out. But um, I so I'm gonna tell y'all what I do for wrestling, and this is gonna make me sound like a maniac when I say it out loud, but y'all just roll with it, okay? So when I was in Korea, like I was there from 17 to 18. Um, uh, I was there for a year, and while I was there, I was kind of bored, and um, I used to love watching wrestling, and I got back into wrestling because I was bored in Korea, and I was like, oh look, WWE Network. I used to watch wrestling. I used to watch wrestling a lot. I'm bored. First 30 days are free. Let me check it out. And um, I started kind of watching some of the old stuff, and then I got in this like routine where I started watching every Monday Night Raw starting in January of 1998. And then when it came to a pay-per-view, I would watch the pay-per-view. And then I would go back and watch the Raws. So I started watching like WWE in chronological order. Whenever the brand split happened, I started including SmackDown. Whenever ECW came in, I started watching, including ECW. Um, just for the record, I'm currently in the SummerSlam build for 2008. That's where I'm at now. So I've watched 10 years of wrestling content over the last couple years. I usually don't sit there and watch it all the time. It's usually background noise. If I'm doing something, I'll put it on. Typically, I like doing it when I'm like get ready in the morning. I'll just have it playing in the background. It's like a nice little background noise. But um, so why I bring that up was this show, The Undertaker versus Randy Orton Untold episode. Uh, I had just watched that not too long ago, and actually, I was watching wrestling back whenever the Legend Killer gimmick was high. Back what was that 2004, 2005, and I remember Randy Orton challenging Undertaker for his streak, and that was a big deal that he was going to challenge him for the streak at WrestleMania. And of course, Randy Orton lost or whatever. But then I completely forgot, even though I just watched it not too long ago, how many damn matches they had. I forgot about the casket match. And then I forgot where they set the casket on fire. I forgot about the different showdowns in the ring. But then, of course, that Hell in a Cell match, which was awesome. And the show was fantastic. If you haven't watched it, The Undertaker versus Randy Orton Untold. I think it's like an hour long. Super good show. Debuted after Hell in a Cell, but it's really good. You should definitely check it out. So real quick, we're going to talk before we move on to the Wednesday night shows. I wanted to do a segment on the show called the Throwback Show of the Week because I do watch a lot of old shows and I do have a lot of nostalgia factor going on. So uh, I'm going to pick a random old show and watch it. And if you want to recommend any old show, whether it be an episode of Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-view, WCW shows, I could watch these old ECW shows, even though I didn't really watch ECW that much when I was a kid. I'll watch and I'll kind of talk about the show. And the show I picked this week was WCW's Halloween Havoc 1997. Now, what you need to know about Halloween Havoc 97 is that I was 13 years old and I was absolutely in love with WCW. And so I not only watching the show because it's Halloween, every year I always watch either Halloween Havoc 97 or 98 because those are the two ones I watched, even though 98 was kind of trash. But this year I watched 97. Again, I've watched it several times. But I always forget how amazing it is for nostalgia, for when I think about nostalgia. So like I said, if you have a show you want me to watch, go to my Instagram at I hate Gerge Brooms and shoot me a DM and tell me what show I should watch and what show I should talk about. So let's talk about Halloween Havoc 1997. Um, so to kind of understand where this is at, let me get a sip of my coffee and the lore of WCW. Um, the Goldberg was not a champion yet. He was still kind of building up. NWO was they were building, eventually building to Sting versus Hogan at Starrcade, if I remember correctly. Um, the the NWO was still kind of like it was in full flex mode. Like '97 was like full flex mode. They won all the time. They beat everybody. It was ridiculous there for a while, but there there were some hidden gems on this match. First off, Chris Jericho wrestled on it, which I thought was awesome. I really enjoyed Chris Jericho in his WCW run, especially not. It was I don't think it was in '97, but '98, where he really got into his annoying heel character. But of course, this pay per view was most known for um, Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. It was Mask versus Championship, the Cruiserweight Championship. Eddie Guerrero was the champion, and Rey Mysterio obviously had his mask. If Rey Mysterio lost, he had to take off his mask, but if he won, he took the championship belt away from Eddie, and damn, that was a good match. High flying. Just watching Rey Mysterio from the top rope to the floor, just from the turnbuckle, just launching himself and then landing right on top of Eddie was phenomenal. Really, really, really good match, and it's probably not probably it is the highlight of the show. It's why people have. I think a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for Halloween Havoc. This also trash match with Disco Inferno and Jacqueline went on way too long, and of course Jacqueline rolls him up and wins. But here's a hot take. I love Disco Inferno. I thought he was awesome, and I thought he was a fantastic performer. And so anytime I get some, especially when he was a TV champion, that shit was awesome. Disco Inferno versus Jacqueline. Match was trash, but Jacqueline did win. And of course, it was a big deal because a woman beat a man, all that nonsense. Um, so one of the, I'm gonna skip this one. We'll talk about it in a minute. I'm gonna talk about Scott Hall versus Lex Luger with Larry Zbyszko as the guest referee. Um, this is like back when you had like your just straight WCW guys like Larry Zbyszko who were just angry that the NWO was coming in and messing with everybody's stuff and messing with the traditions, if you will, of WCW. And Larry Zbyszko was just fed up with Scott Hall, and I think this ended up. I think they led into having a match later on in another pay per view at another time, or they had it before that. Um, but Scott Hall, Scott Hall, there was some interference with Six, or not Six. Was it Six? Yeah, he was Six in WCW, X Pac, whatever you want to call him, and Scott Hall actually, and I'm sorry, Larry Zbyszko as the referee actually like called shenanigans and called for a replay, and then made Scott Hall come back, and then that's when Lex Luger threw him up in the torture rack. Scott Hall gives up, and but I just thought that was an interesting little match to be in the middle of all this. Just that straight WCW versus NWO frustration. Um, but what I want to talk about first, before I go into the next matches, Kurt Hennig versus Ric Flair. Now, I don't know what y'all know about Kurt Hennig and Ric Flair in October of '97, but this was a month removed off of Fall Brawl, which was the month before, obviously, and where Kurt Hennig betrayed Ric Flair in War Games. And I can tell y'all right now, I was a kid, 13 years old, watching War Games, and I was emotionally distraught at the idea of Kurt Hennig beating the shit out of Ric Flair. In case y'all don't know or don't remember, it was NWO versus WCW. I think it was the Horsemen, actually. Benoit, who was it? Benoit, Ric Flair. Oh, damn, what was that guy's name? Shit. His name is Mongo. There he goes, Mongo. And then Kurt Hennig was the fourth man on the WCW team, the Four Horsemen team. And I can't remember who all was NWO. I know it was I can't remember who all it was, but it doesn't matter. Uh, Kurt Hennig was injured earlier in the night or injured on Nitro the week before. I can't remember. And they didn't know if he was going to come out. So he comes out with a sling, uh, his arm in a sling, and instantly takes the sling off and takes out the Four Horsemen, pulls out handcuffs, and they handcuff the Four Horsemen to the cage. And then they take Ric Flair and Kurt Hennig. They put his head in the door of the cage, and then Kurt Hennig slams the cage door on Ric Flair's head. There's blood. It was emotional, I can tell you that, from a 13-year-old watching that show. So this was the follow-up match, Ric Flair versus Kurt Hennig, the follow-up match to that. And damn, it was a great match. I can't remember who won. I don't even care. I just remember Ric Flair, he didn't do his normal walk down. He came sprinting down the ring, and they just beat the shit out of each other. And that was a great match. Basically, for nostalgia purposes, I loved it. That feud was awesome. DDP versus Macho Man. Now let's talk about Diamond Dallas Page versus Macho Man. They had they called like a Las Vegas sudden death match, which was essentially just a last man standing match. And yeah, Macho Man won that after Miss Elizabeth came. Miss Elizabeth did some shenanigans. She was like choking out DDP, and then Kimberly Page came out and attacked Miss Elizabeth. And I want to say that the match ended with Fake Sting. Fake Sting came out with a baseball bat and hit DDP. Of course, more NWO nonsense. And then, of course, the main event was the Roddy Piper versus Hulk Hogan in a cage match. And that shit was weird as hell to watch. I don't know. Were they supposed to escape the cage? I don't know. You guys should definitely go back and check out that match if you haven't. The and then so whatever. I think Roddy Piper won, but it doesn't matter because NWO came in and beat the shit out of everybody. But I think technically Piper won. But then there was like this weird thing where I couldn't tell if it was a shoot or a work with the fan. A fan climbs the cage, and the way it happened and the way it looked like it could have been a shoot, like a fan was actually coming into the ring. But then you realize, well, wait a minute, they're really focusing really hard on this fan. And then of course there's this whole drama where Hogan was kind of punching the fan, but I couldn't tell if it was a work. The way that fake Sting, if you go back and watch it, a fake Sting tackles the fan, and the way that the fake Sting tackles the fan, it's like he identifies that something bad is happening here, and he wants to take care of it. That being a fan has entered the ring, and so just by the really real way he tackles him. But then Hogan starts punching him and stuff, and Macho Man starts punching him. It's all really weird. But Halloween Havoc has a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people, and people really lean on it with that Ray and Eddie match, which was awesome. But damn, when I watched this, that Kurt Hennig Ric Flair match, and definitely the Macho Man DDP match too, mainly because those were my things back when I was 13. I was highly invested in Kurt Hennig versus Ric Flair, and I love Macho Man, I love DDP, and their feud in general was awesome. And to have this as my match, my throwback match of the show of the week was awesome. Like I said, if you want to nominate a throwback show of the week, hit me up on Instagram at I Hate Gerge Brooms. Shoot me a DM. Tell me what I should watch, and I'll watch it. All right, back to this week's wrestling. Let me drink some more coffee. So speaking of Halloween Havoc, Wednesday nights, NXT. So I know I said earlier that I watched the highlights of Raw and SmackDown, but I do not watch the highlights of anything on Wednesday night because Wednesday night is off the chain. So let's talk about first NXT Halloween Havoc. Damian Priest versus Johnny Gargano in a Devil's Playground match, which was essentially a Falls Count Anywhere match. What an amazing match! What a fun match! Of course, they went all over the Capitol Wrestling Center. They beat the shit out of each other. I like how they went up to the top where the wheel was too. And of course, while they were up there, a person in a Scream outfit, mask, whatever, came and assisted Johnny Gargano by attacking Damian Priest. Johnny Gargano does a pretty sweet DDT jump, DDT off. What was that called? Slingshot DDT, whatever it is, off the wheel. He put his feet up on the wheel and it was awesome. Pinned Damian Priest 1, 2, 3, becomes the new North American champion. Really cool, really fun match. Really happy with the way that turned out. And uh, let's talk next about Pat McAfee. This dude is off the chain. I want to choke him out every time he's on TV, and I love it. Him, Oney, and Birch were out in the ring, and Kyle O'Reilly comes out, and then he has Pete Dunne come out kind of with him or after him, and it looks like Pete Dunne's going to be with Kyle O'Reilly, but no, Pete Dunne is with McAfee, Oney, and Birch. They beat the shit out of O'Reilly, and whatever they got going on is awesome. I am super happy and super thrilled with this union. And obviously, War Games is it happening? Is it not happening? But I see four people on one side and I see four people on the other side, and that can only tell me one thing: War Games. And I bet they don't have a War Games pay-per-view schedule, so I don't know how that would happen. But hopefully, we see some War Games. This whole Cameron Grimes, Dexter Lumis, Haunted House of Terror match, whatever the hell that was, I thought it was awesome. I don't like how it ended in the ring. They could have just kept it as a cinematic match offsite, but I thought the zombies were cool. I thought the zombie girl in the shower was cool. I like Cameron Grimes being terrified the entire time. That shit was awesome. Give me more of that stuff, please. Rhea Ripley beating up Raquel Gonzalez. That was awesome. It was a hard hitting match. They were beating the shit out of each other in that one too. Really pleased with that match, and good to see Rhea pick up a win. That whole Drake Maverick and Killian Dane, that stuff was their little skit that they did with Drake Maverick as Hulk Hogan, and Killian Dane was a Shockmaster, and then trying to recreate the Shockmaster debut. And I really enjoyed the hell out of that stuff. That was fun to watch. And then the main event, Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae, tables, ladders, and scares match. Of course, this match was hard hitting. It was intense, and they had the same mystery person who came out earlier to help Johnny Gargano, came out to help Candice LeRae, but Shotzi Blackheart, who's the real MVP of Halloween Havoc, she was awesome. She came out and took that person out and made the match an even match again. And then, of course, Candice LeRae took that shitty bump off of the ladder to the ladder on the side of the ring. I get terrified every time I see one of those. I know they're professionals and gimmick, the ladder's gimmick, and everything is good. But damn, man, that was a sick bump to take. And Io Shirai grabs the belt, retains her championship, and I'm fascinated to see how things move forward with Johnny Gargano as a champion, first ever two-time NXT champion, and how Candice LeRae exists in that relationship without being a champion. I look forward to seeing that, how that goes. Now let's talk about Dynamite. Wednesday nights are off the chain. I watch all of Dynamite. I actually finished watching Dynamite right before I recorded this podcast. So let's just kind of run through it. Wardlow versus Hangman Page. Awesome match. They, of course, hard-hitting. Wardlow is going to be a future AEW champion one day. He's still got to work on some stuff, but it was a hard-hitting match. And watching Hangman Page do that double buckshot lariat was awesome. But Hangman Page, he beat him to move on in the tournament. And we'll find out who. We found out later that he would end up going. He's going to go up against Kenny Omega, which we'll talk about shortly at Full Gear. Eddie Kingston is the shit. Eddie Kingston is the absolute shit. I love watching his promos, the intensity, the way he talks shit to the cameraman, everything. Like, Eddie Kingston should be teaching promo classes, and I'm not really in tune with like his wrestling and how that is, but just him talking the shit he does is off the chain. And I'm really looking forward to his match at Full Gear as well. The Young Bucks FTR match is going to be awesome. We'll kind of talk about that in a minute. They did some promos on this show, which were awesome. Just kind of explaining how things are going. Chris Jericho, MGF Town Hall. I thought it was real funny to have the way they had everybody ask questions. And I like the librarian, or not the librarian, what's that guy's name? Oh, damn, I can't remember his name. I think he's I can't remember his name, but he was asking to be in the inner circle. That was pretty hilarious. And there was one thing that made me laugh that Chris Jericho said when he talked about. I think somebody asked him a question about are you afraid MGF's going to betray you like he did everybody else? And of course, they were referring to Cody. And Chris Jericho responded with like, I'm not a little dipshit like Cody. I don't know what it is about the way Chris Jericho executes the line dipshit, but he's got me every time with that. But of course, that's where they set up the match for Full Gear. Oh, don't forget, Eric Bischoff was one of the people who came up and asked a question too. Surprise appearance by Eric Bischoff. That was awesome. But yeah, it did set up the match for Chris Jericho versus MGF at Full Gear, which we'll talk about in a minute. So I'm a big fan of, or was a big fan of NWA Power. I was watching it routinely before the pandemic hit and before it kind of went off the air. I remember watching I can't remember what the name of the pay-per-view was because it feels like a million years ago. I think it was in December. Was it December whenever she won? Damn, what's her name? Thunder Rosa. Thank you. Thunder Rosa won the NWA Women's Championship. But recently she lost it, and I haven't been really keeping up with NWA at all since the pandemic, since Power went off the air. But Serena Deeb, she won the NWA Championship from Thunder Rosa, and then was on this episode of Dynamite defending it. I think the relationship that AEW and NWA have right now is really cool. I would love to see an AEW championship match versus the NWA championship match. That would be cake. Oh my God. Make it happen. Tony Khan, do what you got to do. Make it happen. And then finally, we went into the main event, the Penta El Zero. I'm probably saying that. I'm from Alabama. Penta El Zero M. And versus Kenny Omega. It was supposed to be Rey Fenix, but Rey Fenix got injured in the match last week, so Eddie Kingston put it on Penta, and damn, what a great match. Kenny Omega obviously wins because that's what's going to be the match, Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page at Full Gear. But I thought the match was really good and very well played out. And before we go into the Full Gear card, because next week, or this week, we have the Go Home show, and then of course we have Full Gear this weekend, which I will be doing a preview podcast for probably Thursday or Friday night. The Jake Hager. Jake Hager is obviously a member of the Inner Circle, but he's also in MMA, into MMA and Bellator, and he won his fight this week and remains undefeated in Bellator, which I think is phenomenal. He's running two careers simultaneously and kicking ass at both. So real quick, I just want to run down the Full Gear card. Like I said, I'll do a full podcast on preview for Full Gear. Obviously, this is no order. This is just what Wikipedia has. Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. We talked about that one for the it's the AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament. It's the final match. Whoever wins gets a future AEW World Championship match. We're doing Cody versus Darby Allin for a TNT Championship match. Of course, we got FTR versus the Young Bucks for the World Tag Team Championships. Of course, Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston in an I Quit match for the AEW World Championship. We've got a rematch here. Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara in the Elite Deletion match. Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's Championship match. Sorry if I butchered those names. Of course, like I said earlier, Chris Jericho versus MGF in a singles match. If MGF wins, he's allowed to join the Inner Circle. And then Orange Cassidy versus John Silver, which will be on the pre-show. Well, like I said, there'll be a separate podcast dedicated to just talking about Full Gear this weekend. All right, real quick, I just want to mention NXT UK. Walter and I can never pronounce his first name, but Dragunov. He got the number one contenders match a long time ago and finally got the cash in, and they had a 30-minute beatdown. And they beat the shit out of each other, and a very good match. It's on the WWE Network. You don't have to watch the entire NXT UK episode, but just watch that match. It was wonderful. It ended by referee stoppage. Dragunov did not tap, but he was bleeding from the mouth. It was intense, and there was a lot of stuff going on. But check that out on the WWE Network. I kind of run low on time, and I've been rambling for a while. Just going to run through SmackDown real quick. SmackDown, Roman Reigns, he was talking about how Jey Uso is going to he's going to fall in line by the end of the night. Very, very good promo to open the show. I love this Roman Reigns character so much. Everything that's going on with him is awesome. Um, Kevin Owens had a really good match against Dolph Ziggler to qualify the Survivor Series. I enjoyed the hell out of watching it. Kevin Owens is on the SmackDown Survivor Series team now. I know Lars Sullivan is like a weird character and kind of divisive character for some people. Um, I have always liked Lars Sullivan. Now I know he's got some weird stuff in his personal life. I'm gonna be honest with you. I try to separate that as much as possible because everyone's a weirdo, and I know there's varying degrees of weirdness. I know he's definitely said some pretty nasty things to women, and but if I separate that and I just look at Lars Sullivan, the character, his little sit down interview I thought was on point. I can tell it's scripted though, and I don't like that. So I think they should allow him to kind of go and do his own thing. But I like the fact that they had him sitting there in a nice little polo shirt and doing an interview. And I really look forward to seeing what they do with Lars Sullivan in the future. Um, we had a qualifying match for the women's SmackDown team: Bianca Belair, Natalya, and Billie Kay. Of course, Bianca Belair, she's phenomenal. She won to qualify, and I like how they're doing a Billie Kay singles push, but they haven't done a Peyton Royce single push over on Raw. I don't know what the hell WWE does sometimes, but Billie Kay gets a singles match before Peyton Royce, whatever. Um, then I just want to be honest with y'all too. This whole Murphy and was it Alea Mysterio, whatever. I don't give a shit about any of it. That nonsense. They made out in the show. It's fine. It's cool. Whatever. They should have kept that. SmackDown's such a better show. They should have kept that on Raw, but they moved it over to SmackDown, and it's trash. Um, Street Profits had a pretty good match with Cesaro and Nakamura. It was fun. Obviously, Street Profits won, and I appreciate good, fun wrestling matches when I watch a wrestling show. Who knew? Who knew? And then Jey Uso, and actually surprise, he defeated Daniel Bryan to qualify for the Survivor Series SmackDown team, and and pretty clean, if I remember correctly. It was pretty clean. Um, and then of course after the match, Roman Reigns came in the ring and basically told him to beat the shit out of Daniel Bryan, and he did. Jey beat him up, and kind of was showing that he did fall in line. And I love this story. I love this badass story of Roman Reigns just being this demanding tribal chief who demands respect and demands obedience, especially from Jey Uso after he lost the I Quit match. Um, and the way Paul Heyman looks at the belt, or looks at Roman Reigns the entire time. Go back and watch it if you're not paying attention and you don't notice it. Paul Heyman looks at Roman Reigns and does not let go. He is looking at him, and it is the strangest thing and the greatest thing at the same time. You should definitely go back and check that out. So that was the wrap up of the week. Some things I'm looking forward to next week, or this coming week. We have Elias versus Jeff Hardy, guitar on a pole match. Whatever, we'll see how that goes. New Day versus Hurt Business. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, they're going to be on Raw competing. Sasha Banks and Bayley have a rematch on SmackDown. That should be super interesting how that plays out. Over on AEW, Pac is going to break his silence this week. If you guys haven't seen that, I know Miro is going to be action, and there's going to be some tag team action with I think Cody and the Gun Club versus I can't some members of the Dark Order, I think, on Dynamite. Dakota Kai versus Ember Moon on NXT. That's going to be awesome. And then Tommaso Ciampa versus Velveteen Dream on NXT as well. Finally, to kind of wrap this show up, because I've been talking for a while, this is my first real long podcast I've ever done, and I've had to stop it a few times and kind of take a break from talking so damn much. It'd be nice if I had some people to talk to. But some news coming up. We have a Vince McMahon documentary coming out on Netflix. That should be a lot of fun, but we know it's definitely going to be a Vince McMahon documentary. You know what I'm saying? Vince McMahon, savior of the wrestling genre, whatever. It's going to be very one-sided, but it's fine. I'm looking forward to it. And the only thing else I had on here was Matt Riddle is Riddle now. I don't know why they keep changing these people's names to just being one name. Buddy Murphy is now Murphy. It's whatever. But yeah, that's it for that. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes From the Top Rope episode 2. I'm still learning a lot. I'm saying a lot of ums. I'm still trying to learn how to do this podcast. It's going to take me a while to get my groove on. But I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to check me out. Follow me on Instagram at I Hate Gerge Brooms. Again, that's at I Hate Gerge Brooms. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to keep doing these. I'm going to try to make them better too. Appreciate any feedback or input. And until next time, we'll see you later. Thanks.